Hi, I'm Joan Sills with Lightbulb Leadership TV, and today we're talking to Rick Rays, who is the managing partner at Jessie and Laurent. And Rick, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's good to see you again. Wish
Good,
we were
good to see
together,
you.
but this works too, I guess.
Yeah. So most of the people I've been talking to, most of the CEOs I've been talking to have been founders of their business, but I know that's not the case with you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into this?
Yeah. So huge background in food and beverage. It's all I've ever done. I found that passion years and years ago. And then a few years back in 2015, I went out on my own and became a restaurant consultant. And one of my clients, their attorney actually found Jessie and Laurent. They were, the founders were actually looking to retire, and they were going to try to see if there was somebody who could carry the torch for them. And so when we met, we had very synergistic cultural outlooks on how to treat people and how to treat the staff, as well as the customer service, and then the focus on food quality. And so it was interesting on both sides, right? Jessie thought it was going to be like a couple-year process to find the right people, and we were the first people to come forward.
Oh, wow.
It happened very quickly for her, a little almost unprepared for it to happen that quickly. And we got in, we dove in and looked at everything and realized that what's unique about this from a typical restaurant is, from a restaurant, we understand roughly how many people are going to come in, and we know through history what they're going to order, how much hamburger, how much chicken, and how many salads. But here, because everything is ordered in advance, we know exactly what's going to happen. So it helps us on the profitability side. And we dove in February of 2019.
Well, tell me a little bit about the business model. What actually is this business?
Yeah. So we kind of fit in. We feel like there's like three segments, right? There's I want food, and I call a restaurant and I get it. Either I pick it up or I have it delivered. Hot food, hot, if you will. And the challenge I feel like in restaurants is oftentimes we're creating dishes in restaurants to be served immediately at your table, right? Not boxed up and then carried over to your house. And, oftentimes the quality goes down, but I think people realize that. And then on the other end of the spectrum is like the meal kit operations, where I don't want to go shopping. I don't want to have to find the recipe, all that kind of stuff. Just send it all to me. But you still have to, cook it all, and you prepare it all and cook it all and then clean up after it and everything. And so Jessie and Laurent fits right in the middle. We do prepared meals that we actually cook for you and then cool so that you're reheating and serving. Most of our items are heated. We do salads, that you eat cold, and we have pressed juicery and coffee and things like that. But for the most part, the bulk of our business is ready to eat food once you've reheated it.
What differentiates you from some other companies that have tried to deliver meals and that kind of thing? Because I know you're a little different.
Yeah. So our model is very different. Well, so there's been a lot of tech companies try to get into the food industry in the delivery market, unsuccessfully in some cases, raised a lot of money, not made a lot of money. This was the other way around. It was a chef, Jessie herself, and she met Laurent later on, who would actually come to people's homes and actually cook the food and then leave it stocked. And that's how she started, but it wasn't scalable, right? There's only so many meals so many houses you can hit in a day and things of that nature. And so they started with renting a small kitchen for a few days and then grew into buying their own. And so, it's always been profitable, at least, in the last, we're pushing 40 years now in business. Wow. And it's been profitable for at least the last 25 or 30. We don't really have records that go back past that. But they had kind of gotten tired. They were like ready to retire. They're not excited about food trends and technology trends. And so we came in and made a few tweaks to it and changed the color and the fonts and kind of brightened up the pictures, because we use e-commerce for selling all of our food, right? And pictures are worth 1,000 words, and if a picture on your website doesn't look appetizing, we're seeing a lot of people not ordering it. And then we made some other tweaks to it, like taking an actual protein out of a prepared dish and putting it on the a la carte, so that you could, as a consumer, I could say, oh, well, I'll get that chicken dish, plus I'll get some sides of just grilled chicken, and I can add it to salad or put it over rice or however I want to do it. And we saw, over the last 18 months, we've seen business, just continue to climb. Our bag size, our average order size has gone from 120 to $155 on the average, which is fantastic. And we're starting to implement a few more KPIs that we're looking at as far as our clients and how they're buying.
How would you describe your food? I mean, is it a nationality or just natural, or how would you describe it?
Yeah, it's all over the map right now. So we are finding, though, that the ethnic dishes sell the best, right?
Okay.
Like we do, Alex, one of my business partners, brought in this beautiful, he calls them deviled prawns, and they have, garlic and over noodles, and they sell extremely well. And then, of course, we have our French background where we have the cordon bleu on the menu this week. And, it's always one of the top sellers. And it's, in fact, one of the only items that we do that is not cooked. We send it to you in a raw state and you have to cook it. It's the only item that we do that way. But we keep it on the menu because it's such a hot seller. So we do everything. But, our most popular tend to be like lettuce cups and enchiladas, and then the French cuisine and things like that. So, and that's one thing we didn't point out, Joan, our menu changes every week.
Okay.
No subscriptions. There's a $70 minimum at, going back to why it's been successful is we only deliver to most of our clients we can get to twice a week.
Okay.
But there are some on the outskirts like Los Altos and Walnut Creek and Santa Rosa that we can only get to once a week. So we're not immediate gratification. You need to know in advance, and our cutoffs are usually 48 hours. Now we try to offset that by having 6 weeks of menus up, right? So you can go and order for the next 6 weeks and be done with it. And then we're going to drop it to you on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever your delivery day is. And I think those are two key elements of why it's been successful. We know exactly what's going to be ordered. We know what staff for labor. We know how much food to buy. So,
boy, it's a lot easier to make profit that way. That's
Isn't it? It's like catering every day, right?
Yeah.
It's like catering a wedding every day. We know how many customers to serve and what they want and their dietary restrictions and all those things. I think that's another differentiator for us too, is we can modify a lot of our dishes, where oftentimes if you have an allergy or just a lack of a desire for bell peppers or something, a lot of these other companies won't make those modifications for you, and we do. So we feel like that's a touch point. And if I were coming into your house to cook it, I would not put bell peppers in it, or I'd not put cheese in it. So
that's kind of how you think about it. It's just an extension of coming into your home to cook you dinner.
Correct. We're going to save you time if you don't have the time to do it, and we can also provide the skill if you don't have the skill to do it. So.
Yeah, I don't have either of those, so that's good.
Yeah, right? There's a lot of people out there that way.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What's one big challenge you all are facing right now? I mean, I know that most people have had different kinds of challenges in COVID. It probably benefited you to some degree. I don't know.
Yeah, it did. We definitely got an influx of new users. We got a lot of old users that came back. There was, when we started doing the research and our due diligence on this company, we started asking around because they've been around for 35 years and like, hey, what do you know about this? Oh yeah, I used to use it. And there was quite a bit of feedback that I personally got that said, the menu just kind of got old and stale. They kept repeating the same items over and over again, which again, one of my business partners, Alex, was brought in a bunch of new items. But challenge-wise has been one, exponential growth because of COVID, right? Which has been fantastic. But the biggest challenge has probably been the supply chain, so getting packaging, getting the food, etc. But I have to say, our clients have been extremely loving and gracious about it. When you say, look, we couldn't get the meat, we couldn't get this, they're totally understanding, and we give them a credit back and they order next week, or, we figure it out. So,
So you've more than doubled in size this year, right?
We have. We're up about 110% year over year when we look at, week to week sales.
Wow.
So, and that ebbs and flows. We're starting to see a little bit of cabin fever and vacation happening now. So our increase is about 75% this week over the same week last year.
It's still amazing.
Yeah.
So what do you think is your biggest opportunity going forward?
Yeah. So we look at three things, and that's we like to call them the QVC of the world, right? To steal an acronym. But for us, it's quality, value, and consistency. And the biggest challenge that we have is with COVID and the expansion, we brought in a whole bunch of new staff members, right?
Yeah.
And so how quickly can we train them up to make sure that we're serving you the same cordon bleu this week that we did last time it was on the menu 8-10 weeks ago, and then again from last year. So that consistency piece of it was a bit challenging for us. And then the other thing that most people don't understand is, like, most recipes are written for a party of 4.
Yeah.
And when you take a party of 4 recipe and make it for 8, it's fine. But when you make it for 400, it's not a linear scale, right? And so we hired Tom Kuhn, and he came in from Byright, and his background is exactly that. How do we take this great tasting dish and scale it? And not only scale it to a point where it tastes the same as that, 4-person recipe, but also is operationally easier for our staff, right? And so we're constantly working back and forth on how do we continue to raise the level of quality and consistency and value all at the same time. And the way we do that through value is becoming more productive on our side, right?
Yeah.
So that we can keep those prices tight.
So what's the most fun for you in this? I know you come from the food business.
Yeah.
So what's been the most fun?
So I've been in the service industry my entire life, and I was always scared to have my own business. I was worried about the 100-hour work weeks and the things like that. And what I've found is I'm not working 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
I got a great team. But as you and I have spoken before a year ago, I am putting in a lot of hours, but it doesn't feel like I'm putting in a lot of hours. And so it's fun to be able to do something that gives back. Number one, we've created more jobs, which is awesome, certainly during this time where a lot of people are struggling to make rent and things of that nature. So, it's just, we put food inside of our body, and it's very, very personal. And so I take it very, very personally. And just, if I'm ever having a bad day, I just go into our digital log and I read all the testimonials and the comments that people are sending to us. And, I want to point out one thing that really kind of packages it all together. We do this thing called a community gift, and this is something that Jessie started, we took over. So it's kind of like a meal train, if you will. But so my sister-in-law had to have some medical work done. And, my wife said, hey, let's do something with Jessie and Laurent because they're in the delivery zone. And we started to think about it, and we're like, oh, well, we can't send them food because all 5 of the people in the household have a different dietary restriction. And it was like, there's no way I could order food for them and have it accessible for the whole family. But what we do is a community gift. So we create an account for you, and then we send an email out to whoever you'd like, or maybe you wouldn't even know. We send it out without you knowing about it to all of your friends, and they can drop in $5 or $50 or $1,000 or whatever into your account. And then you, as the consumer with the dietary restrictions or the desires or the timing, or, you don't know if you're going on vacation, I don't know if you're going to be home next week or not, right? So it allows you to be able to control that while we're still feeling good about giving you something. So the community gift has been amazing. And it's just such a cool tie to the, exactly what we do. Food is about community anyway. So.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let me ask you this. Can you think of something either with this company or maybe before that was just a light bulb moment for you, that somebody asked you a question or you saw something and you went, whoa, I hadn't thought about that before. Yeah. Anything come to mind?
Well, there's a great book called QBQ, which is the question behind the question. And the basic premise is seek to understand rather than be understood. And I think oftentimes as leaders, we feel like we have to have the answer, that people are coming to us needing the answer. And really the power in today's workforce and in the way technology is going so fast, it's beyond what humans can keep up with, right?
Sure.
And so we're finding, or at least I'm finding, that if I ask better questions, we get better results not only in my relationship at home, but in my relationships at work with our clients, et cetera. And so I think that's probably in the last 5 years, the biggest one for me is just to listen more and realize that it's okay to be able to say, I don't know, let's figure it out, rather than feeling like I have to have the answer.
I think that's key. That's so important, particularly in these days with technology, with every reason.
Yeah.
People, if you were there to just give people answers, you run out of answers. You don't run out of questions.
Well, not only do you run out of answers, but you become the blockage in the funnel, right?
Yeah.
Like people can't do anything until they ask you and get approval, or ask you and make sure that their idea is right. And that's the next step of it, right? It's like you come with a question, and maybe I, without being condescending, ask the question back to you. Hey, if I wasn't here, what would you do? What were a couple of ideas you'd have? And together we strategize what to try, and you build that trust for you to make the decision in the future, right? Because then ultimately you can scale it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Well, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us. And I hope that you continue to make wonderful food and make people happy.
Thanks, Joan. It's great to see you.
Thanks so much.
Take care.